And I don't know, I went to this club in Trenton one day on Calhoun Street in Trenton. It was kind of a rough area. And I told the guy I was a new wave DJ, and he said, "A new what?" He said, "Well, come on in, and I'll give you, whatever, $1 a person." And we had about 7 people there. And the next Sunday night was like 20 people, and led up to what it led up to. Never thought it would ever go that long, and never planned that to happen. I actually was a mailman in the 80s, and I quit being a mailman and started doing the neighborhood. Started just going full time, booking bands, and we just did a good job and treated everybody fairly, and we were nice, and the bands did really well. It just kind of worked all together. The law in New Jersey was 18 and up to drink. In Pennsylvania, it was 21 and up to drink. Never changed in the 70s and 80s. So we had full advantage of that, being right on the Delaware River, and that's it.
What year did you first go?
79.
Was the original name King Tut City Gardens?
Yeah, King Tut is the pseudonym of the owner of the building, and he let me do what I wanted to do, pretty much.
What year did City Gardens close?
I would say around 2001. I left in '96, and we didn't do bands. We were getting lawsuits, kids getting hurt and stuff. We were the first ones to allow like the slam dancing and stage diving and moshing as early as '81. And because we were the first ones, I guess, I don't know. I always say New Jersey's the land of lawsuits. That's what I always call New Jersey. Some people call it the Garden State. I call it the land of lawsuits, and now the land of high taxes, and which makes it impossible for anybody to even start a club. For God's sake, it's pretty hard, really hard. I couldn't imagine trying to really do this. Have a club functioning 7 days a week. There's just not enough support, and the rules and the laws and the taxes, and the police are after you. It's .08 to drink, and there's 21 instead of 18, and there's so many different rules and laws, and you got to have the right 20-watt bulb in the exit sign. If it's a 15-watt bulb instead of 20, they'll shut you down for a week, and pretty hard, pretty hard.
Do you miss it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. I couldn't do it now at 50. I feel pretty good now, but
any crazy shows or?
Excuse me?
Any shows you remember that was really crazy? Like
Favorite show?
Oh man, I don't know. I get asked that a lot. I give different answers all the time. I really enjoyed a band called Sparks that played there in '81 or '82. They did about a 3-hour show, and they were one of my favorite bands. Matter of fact, they were such a favorite band. I was such a fan of them through the '70s and early '80s. I was afraid to meet them, and I was a promoter. I was afraid to shake their hand. I was really nervous. A big fan of music. Big fan of independent music. But there's so many. There was so many great Dead Kennedy shows and 7 Seconds, and there's some great ska shows. And actually, some of the best shows were the shows that only 50 people showed up for. And we actually did the Butthole Surfers along with the Replacements one night for $3, and it was 50 people there. My famous story and my famous quote is, REM played there, and we had 42 people paid, but I've met over 400 people that say they attended the show, and it was 42 paid is all there was. And it's funny also, the REM show, all they asked for was a 6-pack of beer and 4 towels for the band. And then, about 6 years later, they were playing, Spectrums, Wachovia Centers and all that, 10,000 seats a night, and, every one of the band members had their own tour bus and trucks with merchandise and trucks with sound and backline equipment. Pretty funny. It was a long, it's really just, once again, 5 or 6 years earlier, they were just playing for $50 and a 6-pack of beer and 4 towels. Some bands would do silly things. The Beastie Boys asked for Flintstones vitamins. They always wanted Betty and Wilma. Jon Stewart was a bartender for the club for, I guess, 5 years. But, I don't really have any stories about it. Every time he does something, like gets on the Oscars and the Emmys and does these special shows, the papers always call me, "What can you say about Jon Stewart?" And he was a nice guy, but I don't really know him because he was on the bar side of things and I was on the music side. He mentions this all the time. But when he first started, he was on MTV. If I had Green Day on a Sunday, they were on his show on Monday heading up to New York from Trenton. I'd say, "Hey, tell John I said hi." And then maybe there was a week later, there was a band playing on his show, coming to my show the next weekend, and they would, John says hi from New York. And it was pretty neat. Cool. And yeah, he always mentions the club though. He's really good friends with King Tut still. They keep in contact. I don't have any contact with him at all. But and we mentioned the Replacements, and also I guess Ween was another band. They were just teenagers. They were like 13, 14 years old. Put them on just for for fun, and they became huge. They do 6, 7, 8,000 seaters now. They headlined the Philadelphia Jambalaya Jam on Memorial Day weekend, and actually one of the members of Ween's going to DJ tonight here. We didn't announce his name or anything. It snuck out, but we didn't. It's not on my flyers or anything. DJ Softpack is Dean Ween. We can tell now.